Hey guys, this is Chris with RonBoots Farm, and this is our first garden tour of 2020. All right guys, so here's the garden. This is end of May 2020. I've been meaning to put out a video earlier in this. I just didn't get to it. As you can see, it's already, everything's banging here. This is probably the best garden I've ever grown. What I'm going to do is I'm going to talk through some of the things I did over the winter and some of the techniques we used here, and then we'll see how long this video gets. And if it's going too long, then I'll do a second video talking about the individual plants and varieties we're growing. But basically, if you'll remember, and I'll try to put a link here to the video of our garden last year. But if you've been a member of the channel for a while, you'll know that we started down here. This was our original garden. Just went to somewhere right in there. Then last year we expanded it most of the way down to the chicken run there. However, last year we had so much going on with my stepdad passed away and all of that, and so just doing that and helping my mom move up here near us with it, the garden, we just we planted it and then nothing was really done the rest of the year. So this whole end just grew up in weeds and everything. We didn't mulch it. I did use some straw mulch, but it didn't. I didn't put it thick enough, and again, I just basically didn't do anything to the garden most of the year, and we didn't get much out of it. So this year, I had planned to take better care of the garden and wanted to get back out here and get a lot of things growing. And so over the winter, we spread composted horse manure from the folks across the street. Basically, put another layer all the way down. We put a layer of cardboard down first, and then 4 to 6 inches over the entire thing. I got that done back in probably December through February, and when we finished it up, then I wanted to have an edge I could mow and weed eat down, and so I decided to put these straw bales down and do some straw bale gardening, at least try that to give me an edge down. I've had mixed results with that. I'll probably talk about that in a separate video, but that's why the straw bales are there going down. Those trellises we had put in last year, and again, didn't do much with them, but we do have some roses and some climbing beans on them. And then I went back and reused these landscaping stones left here by the previous owners to put there to make my edge all the way down. Once we had all of that done and got ready to plant, I did find a source of tree mulch, fairly cheap. I'm not getting it free, but I'm getting it basically now for $10 a yard. Found a guy who has the space that he's having the tree companies dump all of their wood mulch after they go and trim the power lines and all that on his land, and then he's selling it for $15 a yard. But I talked him into, if I kept coming back to get more, him dropping it $1 a yard down to $10. So I've gotten about 4 or 5 loads now, and so I'm getting it for $10 a yard. So I went back, and in all my pathways, I put down either a layer of cardboard or a layer of paper feed sacks. And you can see the difference in last year and there. Now you can see there's some weeds growing in that one row there, and that's because I didn't get, I ran out of mulch and I haven't made it back to get any more. And in just a few weeks, those weeds have jumped up. So that's what mulch can do for you, especially again, putting the cardboard down along with the paper feed sacks. And on the edge here, you can see sticking out, I did run a row of garden cloth down the edge to keep grass from growing underneath my hay bales into there. And so that's all the way down, and on the very end I left a path to walk behind the chicken coop, so it's down there as well. On the back side, we did put in some trellises to go with our archways here, but if you can see over there, I got some cucumbers and other vines growing on the trellises. Got those most of the way down. You can see those are some gourds there growing. And down here I even have my tomatoes on the back growing up. Those cattle panels is what I use there. And so yeah, that's it. This garden is about 120 feet approximately by around 18 feet wide. And so yeah, we getting a lot of good vegetables out of here already. Looks like we got time on this video, so I'll just go ahead and start down here and we'll talk through what I planted. So Basically, this is all new this year, except for this parsley here that's from last year. And as you can see, it's already bolting. But we started down here with some red lettuce, which has also started to bolt. We've been feeding that to the rabbits. Some kale, which has done awesome. Been eating on that. Then we have some red cabbages, which, as you can see, are forming. We have had some worm pressure, cabbage worms, but we sprayed with neem oil a time or two, but they seem to be making it through. That's another cabbage, just a regular old green cabbage that I planted there, and we got some more over there in that row. This was some just regular green lettuce. I forget the exact variety. As you can see, it's bolted, and we've been feeding it to the rabbits as well. I do have some mustard greens growing down the edge I planted for when this is out of the way. Over there we got Brussels sprouts. We're going to see if we get any of those before it gets too hot. Cauliflower, as you can see, got some huge cauliflower heads. There's one there. We've already picked one. We're still eating on it. Let me climb over in here so we can see better. And I'm actually going to pick these today before it gets too late, and we're going to boil those and or blanch them and get them frozen before they all go bad. Here we got a row of onions. We got red and white onions. Been planted those pretty close together and been thinning them as we eat them. Whereas I eat them, I'm about the only one that really likes onions. My wife will eat them if they're cooked in certain dishes, so she's eaten a few, but mainly it's been me eating them. But as you can see, we're starting to get some good size on some of the onions. Over here we got 3 rows of potatoes. We did have a little bit of fungus pressure, brown spot that got some of them. I sprayed them with a couple of organic options, and it didn't seem to be doing that well, so I did spray it. Even though I try to stay completely organic or close to it, I did spray them with a conventional fungicide. Some of them still didn't make it. I went ahead and pulled them up, and we did get a small tub full of small potatoes that we've been eating on as well. So that's it for this section. Moving on down here, we got tomatoes. I got about 30 different tomato plants, various varieties. Some of them I don't even know what they are because I got them at a local farm near us, and they were non-labeled tomatoes. But we got also some Romas, some beefsteaks, and then some cherry tomatoes growing. Got quite a few squash and zucchinis. We did have some problems with those after I got them in the ground. We had a freeze, and it knocked a lot of those back, but some of them are starting to come on now, especially down in the sections down there. Here we got strawberries, and in the middle of the strawberries I've got some beans growing, and then down this edge peppers. And these I believe are bell peppers. Yeah, these are bell peppers. I've already picked probably 4 or 5 bell peppers. There's one right there, as you can see. There are 2 actually growing. And then again I got beans, and underneath the beans here I got these are strawberries right here, and we have picked probably 12 or 15 strawberries. Right here, I think, remember what some of these I just filled in with random stuff. I think there's some okra maybe, and this is some giant white beets. That's an okra plant right there, I can tell. Squash, and of course tomatoes. You can see down there, there's some tomatoes I need to pick. You can see those, some cherry tomatoes down in there. And these won't be long. These tomatoes here will be covered. This is one of my double grafted pear trees that we planted last year. Down there's the Bartlett pear, if you can see it. I didn't talk about that, but that's it. Hopefully they'll get up and give us some shade here in the garden for us hot Texas summers. Our roses, I had planted them on all the archways. The climbing roses, most of them had died last year again when we weren't watering, so I had transplanted a couple of the yellow ones down here. These were blooming a few weeks ago. You can see some more coming up, but it was covered. I do have one red one on this side, so hopefully those will come on. Right here we got some radishes. I believe this was a French radish. Quite a few of those. We got more strawberries and beans over in that row. Again, here you can see where I haven't mulched, where the weeds are coming up, and here's the difference here. Banana peppers planted along the edge of those. Squash here. More tomatoes. You can see some, and also here, and there's some peppers planted between these tomatoes, but the tomatoes are starting to take them over. But there's a banana pepper in there. This is a apple tree. I think this one was one of them's a pink lady, and one of them is this is a pink lady, and I believe the one down there that you can see is a gala. Squash, And here's our lovely friend, the squash bug, that when I come through here, I squish those. That one was laying eggs, look. See if you get that right there. Yeah, there it is. That one was sitting there laying eggs. I come through here when I find those and squish those. The squash bugs don't do too much trouble to the plants if I catch them, but we do have problems with vine borers. And I did see the vine borer moth flying around here yesterday. There's some more squash bug eggs on top of that plant. What's odd is usually they lay eggs on the bottom of the leaves, but for this year, almost every one I found had been on top for whatever reason. Usually I squash these, or sometimes I just even pull the leaf off and throw it in the chicken pen. There's some green tomatoes down there. Here's some horseradish. I ordered several sets of strawberries from Stark Brothers, and on one of the orders they accidentally left out one of the strawberries, but they sent me horseradish, so I got it planted in a few areas. Here's a watermelon vine that has taken off. Got a couple watermelon vines. Got a couple of okra, but you can see some more down there. But when I planted the okra, because of the wood mulch, I guess, we had a lot of trouble with roly-polies. I didn't even know they would eat plants, but apparently they will eat tender plants, and they ate a bunch of stuff that I planted that came up from seed. Here is another squash and a squash bug, and this one I think had a vine borer, either a vine borer or something was eating right at the base, so I covered it with some dirt to see if it would grow any more roots, but I think it may be a goner. Here we got several different varieties of cucumber growing on the trellis here. I don't know if I can find one easy, but I do have quite a few baby cucumbers, so it won't be too long. We'll be getting quite a few of those. This is some lemon squash here that I got from Baker Creek a couple years ago, and you can see some of those forming down there. Hopefully you can see that. Got more squash over there, as well as horseradish. Another cucumber down there. And then in my straw bales, there's some tomatoes. I had some extra tomatoes, so I threw them in there. I put the poles in, but I need to run some wire for the trellis. Nasturtiums here. There's some lavender. I believe these are gourds, if I remember right. Or maybe these are, oh no, these are the Chinese red beans. These get like 12 to 18 inches long, purple beans. Those are the gourds right there. So yeah, we have already been eating broccoli. In fact, I don't even think I talked about my broccoli down at the other end, but we've harvested most of the broccoli, been eating on it. Getting ready to harvest the cauliflower. There's some beets. I do have a few beets that came up that I planted down this edge of the strawberries. Some red runner beans. You can see one there in the middle of the roses, and I do have some on these other trellises. There's the strawberries. More squash and zucchini planted in the straw bales. Those are some cabbages there. You can see they've been eaten on quite a bit by cabbage worms, but we do have some regular green cabbage growing to go along with our purple cabbage down here. And then right over there, again, I didn't talk about it when I was down in this section a while ago, but we did have broccoli that we have harvested most of, but I do have some side shoots that are coming back. So it looks like we will get at least a couple of, and these have already even started bolting, so I didn't get to that soon enough. And here's another little side shoot down in there. And then look at this cauliflower. Like I said, I got to get it picked today. It's already getting on some bug pressure, but I'll be able to cut all that up. This one's huge too. And get this in the freezer today. So yeah, garden tour, May 2020. Here's some mustard growing. Red runner bean coming up there. There's another one over there. So yeah, we'll cut that one off here, but we've already harvested a lot of broccoli, a lot of banana peppers, some probably about 8 or 9 squash. I do have one zucchini down there that's just about ready to pick. Got a zucchini here in one of these. I don't remember which one it was. But one of these in the straw bale, has a zucchini on it. And so yeah, it's probably, like I said, probably the best garden I've ever grown. There's a small zucchini right there, if you can see that, hopefully. Don't know if this one has any, but this plant's looking good. But I do need to get some more mulch to do this last row, get that done. And I do need to get my tomato vines. I need to run some more wire on my trellis poles and get them tied up. and everything will be looking good. We're looking forward to more produce out of this during the summer. Hopefully it doesn't get too hot and burn everything up before we can harvest some of this stuff, especially the Brussels sprouts. I'm wondering if we're going to get anything off of them before the heat gets us, but we're at 15 minutes now, so I'm going to cut this one off. Appreciate y'all watching, and we'll catch you on the next video.